Let's now take our story from Washington, D.C., where the U.S.-Africa Subcommittee on Thursday opened their public hearing into the review of President Donald Trump's redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern. In an emotional moment, Congressman Bill Huizenga, who sits on the Africa Subcommittee, fights back tears over the killings of Christians in Nigeria while referencing his recent exclusive interview on Arise News. He condemned the Tinubu administration, saying they are sitting back and not doing enough. Let's take a look.
I went to school with kids from Nigeria. I've got neighbors who've been missionaries there, who have family there, who have friends there, who know this is going on. Yet we've got not just the mass media, we got people within Congress denying that this is happening, or certainly de-emphasizing it. It ought to be outrageous that it is Christians, moderate Muslims, anyone being terrorized by these radicalized Islamists in Nigeria, and we've got the Tinubu government sitting back and not doing enough. I recently just was interviewed by Nigerian television, Arise TV, and that was really their question. Is the Tinubu government doing enough? And I had to answer, no, they are not. And I do not understand how a delegation can come here to the United States and downplay and come up with all of these other excuses as to why this is allowed to happen. It should be rejected and should be called out for what it is.
Meanwhile, Senior Fellow and Director of the Africa Program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, Oge Onugbogu, broadened the discussion by speaking about how the narrative of a Christian genocide in Nigeria reduces the country's insecurity to a single story, describing it as an oversimplification of the issue. Let's take a look.
A narrow narrative that reduces Nigeria's security situation to a single story and frames it solely as the persecution of Christians oversimplifies the issue. Religious and ethnic violence is driven more by governance failures and is worsened by hate speech and conspiracy theories rather than being just a singular conflict. Nigeria is facing multiple security crises due to religious extremism, banditry, criminality, resource competition, communal disputes, and separatist agitation. These issues are intertwined with history, poverty, and political contestation. The interplay between religion and politics in Nigeria is deep and complex. Leaders often romanticize the country's unity, but fail to foster it, as we saw in the divisive 2023 elections. As Nigeria approaches another national election in 2027, religion will once again continue to influence candidate selection, voter behavior, and campaign strategies.
All right, I thought that she was, in fact, the hero of the, meeting yesterday, because she actually really narrowed down in details what we are facing in Nigeria, the sort of terrorism, insecurity that we are facing in Nigeria. And she also raised this very, very important point about how this religion will play into politics coming into 2027. That is why it is so important that we address this issue head on, way into the electioneering time. And also, I watched the whole proceeding. I was sleeping in and out. But what got me was this young woman who came out to talk about the fact that 4 of her children, Mrs. Ape, during the F0ught attack, these are serious, severe issues that need to be tackled and dealt with.
All right, let me take them one at a time. I begin with the video of Bill Huizenga, Congressman Huizenga, who seemed to be shedding tears. Riley Moore at some point, Congressman Riley Moore also said that he's having sleepless nights thinking about this. And I just say I think we should be careful about the tears of some of these people across the Atlantic, because they're also the same people who were hosting President of Syria al-Shara in the White House just a couple of weeks ago, who's responsible for persecution of Christians in Syria. Nigeria, but suddenly he's a friend of the House. So we need to be careful about the agenda that is currently being perpetuated in the US Congress. However, bringing issues back at home, this is why what Oge said was extremely important, because she emphasized the fact that what we need is to ensure we address, number one, institutional weakness, number two, political will. She said that if we can get our institutions here in Nigeria into the right shape, into where they need to be, and if we can summon up the political will, that Nigeria has the capacity to overcome this. Yes, engagement and collaboration is important, but it should be a Nigerian-led solution, and that a foreign-led solution may not bear fruits because, again, there's a lack of understanding of the deep intricacies of what's playing out. Now, as for connecting all of these to election cycles, I think we also have to be very careful about this because rightfully so, we've seen the pattern time and time again. It continues to play out as we're going, especially towards a heated election, a hotly contested election. Everything gets thrown into it, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's religion. Unfortunately, everything becomes permissible. Now, there's a concept that originated in Russia, which is called a color revolution, which I always highlight. Now, color revolution is when we manipulate real issues and challenges within a nation, and then we use them to catapult ourselves into some sort of political movement and ultimately regime change. I'm not saying that's what's at play here, but I'm saying that there are people who take advantage of our weaknesses, of our challenges, of our issues that we have within our own nation and use them for political game to try and achieve regime change. So what is the solution to all of this? The solution is that insecurity should be nipped in the bud, whether it be the girls who have been taken in Niger State, whether it be Niger State is children and teachers. In Kebbi State, it's the girls. Whether it be even those that are underreported, that are not making the headlines, that are living in fear. I'm surrounded, my domestic staff are all from the Middle Belt. I hear the phone calls they receive from home on a daily basis. It's not easy for them. They're constant worry for their relatives. So wherever in Nigeria it is time for leadership to step up. We're seeing ministers being ordered to go to the theater. We've seen the vice president is in the theater as well. But the unfortunate thing is, these are all people who have experience with this kind of thing. Should it be repeating itself when we have people who have experienced this at the helm of power? Shouldn't there have been prevention based on their own experience with these types of challenges?
Right.
So we have to get our house in order.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like you mentioned in Niger State, we have an unconfirmed number of students and staff who have reportedly been abducted at St. Mary's School, a Catholic school in Agwara, local government area of Niger State. Terrorists were said to have arrived at the school between 2 and 3 a.m. last night, and the school is currently determining the actual number of abducted students as authorities continue their assessment. Well, this tragic news comes as terrorists who were caught on live stream abducting 38 churchgoers at Christ Catholic Church in Kwara State are demanding 100 million naira per victim. According to our sister publication, the terrorists are already contacting the families directly. Dr. Bati, can you see what is happening now? We've also just gotten a statement from the Niger State government confirming the kidnapping at the St. Mary School. The secretary to the Niger State government, Abubakar Usman, says that they had asked all boarding schools to temporarily close as a precautionary measure, but St. Mary's reopened without seeking clearance from the state government. He also said that security agencies have now begun an investigation into the incident while urging residents to remain calm. I mean, only yesterday we talked about bring back our Kebbi school girls. 24 of them still in captivity at this point. Now we are hearing school children from the Catholic school in Niger State are abducted with their teachers. And then we're hearing that these terrorists that perpetrated the crime in Kwara State are asking for 100 million naira ransom. Did you see those guys in the church? I mean, what, even if you get 100 million, what are you going to do with it to even start with? I mean, these people are terrorists. Dr. Abati.
Well, I think it's most unfortunate that at a time when there is this concern, international concern, that Nigeria is suffering from, very serious problem of insecurity. And we've seen various dimensions of it at the congressional hearing yesterday in the United States. You had John James, congressman from Michigan, in fact referring to the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu case. But there were others who disagreed with the mischaracterization that was involving some of the positions. There was one congressman who was saying that there are jihadists, in fact, in the Tinubu administration. It had to take Jonathan Pratt from the Council of African Affairs to say no, he doesn't think that there are jihadists inside the government. Then, okay, a man modified his statement and said, okay, the government is not doing enough and all of that. So you get all kinds of perspectives. And then you had Sarah Jacobs saying President Trump has no business interfering in Nigeria. On what basis does he want to interfere with the sovereignty here? But all these problems we have with school abduction, attack on churches, they reinforce some part of the narratives out there. Bishop Anagbe of Catholic Bishop of Makurdi, the Diocese of Makurdi, I don't know whether it is Catholic or not, but it's from the Diocese of Makurdi, gave a very graphic report in this regard. So the residual point is that the Nigerian government still needs to do a lot more to make our schools safe. Yeah. They are closing down schools in Kwara. So those children, they will lose the opportunity to go to school. In Niger State, the secretary to the government, or whoever signed that statement, said, we had warned them not to reopen. It was St. Mary that went and reopened the school based on intelligence. So is the gentleman, is he blaming the school and blaming the children? In other words, he's saying that they made themselves available to be abducted. Should any child be abducted at all from any school? So that the reasoning in that press statement wasn't very clear to me. No. Because when you say in Kebbi, we were told that government had intelligence, and yet it happened. In Niger State, we were told that we also got prior intelligence. It didn't happen. It speaks to something about the ineffectuality of the security system in the country. And I think whether they are girls or children or teachers or ordinary Nigerians, we all must feel safe in this environment. Right. Now, the military is overstretched. You have soldiers, they are the ones in the northeast, they are the ones in the northwest, they are the ones in the middle belt. What we're also saying is that we don't have enough boots on the ground. We don't have enough personnel to secure this environment.
This is the point.
So, how many soldiers do we have in Nigeria? Roughly 300,000.
I was even hearing 177,000 from Adam Soshomale, we heard the other day.
So if it is 177,000, how would 177,000 people
it wasn't a lot.
do police work?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the police, what are they doing? Security is supposed to be, the primary thing for policemen. Yeah. Nobody is talking about the role of the police in this. And then these people, they call it civil defense. They are also part of the security apparatus. Yes, right. Maybe, they should be given more training, and they can help to protect as many schools as possible.
This is the main point.
So, because, expecting that the military will do it all the time, and then we at every occasion we praise them. They say they are doing well for the country. Right. But we need more men out there to govern ungoverned spaces.
I really love that point that you make. And I think that's the crux of the issue, really. I believe that only recently the military said that they're going to deploy, 10,000 or 100,000 more recruits, 24,000
to be trained in the next year.
Yes, that's what we should encourage.
No, not just recruitment. Maybe some soldiers who have retired, some policemen who have retired, who still have some energy. They should be recalled to service. Right. This idea that if you have done 35 years, you can go. Some of them are still very strong. Right. Let them go back to work.
All right.
And help Nigeria.
Fantastic. We need more boots on ground. Please bring back our girls. I'm calling on the security forces at this moment. We want our girls back home, and we want those young children in Niger State returned immediately.